am Davy Divine, and I'm honored to be here to share with you the work that we do and our mission over at Cloven Heart Farm Sanctuary. A lot of people don't, when I say that we're a farm sanctuary, a lot of people don't really resonate or connect with the idea of what that truly is and the work that we truly do. Sometimes it's easier to say that we're an animal rescue because I feel like people really understand that. Sometimes farmed animals are not considered the same as, say, a domesticated animal, worthy of rescue, so like a dog or a cat. And so a lot of people misunderstand or don't understand why it's important to value the life of a farmed animal, like a cow or a donkey or a duck or a goat or a pig. So, because in our society, I've grown up with certain habits that have been passed down to us generation to generation, which is to use animals for certain purposes. And I think it's important to understand that there is meaning beyond those purposes, and that anyone who is suffering, whether it is a human being or whether it's an animal with cloven hooves, a tail or a mane, I believe that those animals are worthy and deserving of a happy life, and just as every living being on this earth is. And I feel like maybe that's something that you all understand, because we all strive to be happy people. We all strive to live a life that has purpose and that is of service to others. And so kind of like what we're doing here at Cloven Heart Farm Sanctuary is to be of service to farmed animals. Now, whether we have personally experienced cruelty in our lives or any kind of suffering in our lives, many of us have had an opportunity as human beings to be able to stand up for ourselves, to be able to speak up for ourselves. Animals often do not have that ability unless a human being is doing it for them. So we exist to be that voice, to be there to help, to be there to show that there are human beings in this world who are kind and who are not cruel, and that there are people who want to help when an animal is suffering, or when an animal is neglected, or when an animal is not fed or cared for well, to be able to kind of like correct that wrong. You know, so a lot of what we do when we rescue is, and unfortunately we can't rescue everyone, but we do our best. And so I'd like to say that the animals that we have been able to rescue so far have been able to recover from many of their traumas. And so a lot of what we do is healing, and it's about giving kind words, giving kind touch, giving shelter, giving medicine and veterinary care, providing good nutrition. Whatever the animal might be suffering from or in need of, we are there to help to heal so that they can become a whole being again. So if you all have ever known anyone in your life who has suffered from cruelty and unkindness, and the world can be very unkind, you know that there are these people that you are familiar with who have suffered that. They have certain triggers or certain behaviors that make them feel alone or withdrawn and scared in the world. And it takes some time and kindness to help them through that. And if you have that heart for human beings in that way, then that's great, because everyone needs someone to be on their side. So the animals, they suffer in the same way. They will be shy, they will be withdrawn, they will have characteristics or behaviors that maybe aren't positive. And so you have patience right? And you have kindness, and you show love, and you show acceptance, and you help in the best way you can so that that animal can then learn to feel safe again. So that's a lot of what we do for the animals that we rescue. The other things that we do is to help educate. So whenever we have an opportunity to do an event at the sanctuary, or we have people over to do volunteer work, they get an opportunity to meet the animals, to touch the animals. And a lot of people, we see animals driving down the highway, there's cows, you're like, ooh, cow, you know? Or you see a horse in the field, and you're like, oh, horsey, you know? And it's very exciting and very fun experience, and it makes you happy for that moment to see them. So a lot of people do not get an opportunity to touch a pig, touch a turkey, you know, interact with a goat, pet a cow. So a lot of people do not have that opportunity. So it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to educate when people come in and say, here's what this cow's life was like, or here is this pig's story. And I'll tell you that there's in this neighborhood, literally across the street, there is a pig that we rescued in this neighborhood that had gotten loose. And in 2021, and the neighborhood was up in arms. People were trying to rescue this pig, and no one could get it. And we were able to go in and work with the person who had been kind of feeding her, and they were able to secure her, and we were able to take her in. And little did we know that she wasn't just this little baby pig, what she looked like. She brought with her 4 passengers. So we were blessed with 4 little piggies, piglets who were born, and we have been able to watch them grow. So the mom had gone from abandoned, afraid, being chased, being unwanted, to finding a home where she is safe, and she's not scared, and she's not running around, worried, what someone is going to do to her. And she was able to give birth to her piglets in peace, and they all live together as a happy family. And a lot of people don't understand, or don't know, or don't experience the idea or concept that animals, farm animals, they actually have families that they love being with, and they spend their lifetime with, if possible. So, I think I'm so thankful for being reintroduced to St. Francis of Assisi through Curtis. Curtis's reading, because as a child, I was that weird kid who was walking through the woods and just fascinated with bugs and toads and birds and worms and snakes. And I was always rescuing something or observing something or, catching something and, promising to love it for his lifetime. And I think that I don't know where that came from. I don't know why that was just such a part of me, but I grew up and even though I went to school and college and got a master's degree and was a public school teacher, I found my way back to this passion of this love and fascination for animals and wanting to take care of them and wanting to know them and wanting to understand them. So a lot of what we do is we advocate for the animals, just simply because we all have a cause and we all have a purpose. And when we have something that we're passionate about, we speak about it. So advocating is talking about this injustice or this situation or a problem on behalf of someone who cannot speak for themselves, or on behalf of someone who needs more people to speak on behalf of them. And so I'm really proud of the work that we do. I'm really thankful to be able to be with these animals every day. And I'm not going to tell you, it's not, I know executive director and all that sounds like a big fancy title. I'm picking up poop. I'm sweating, I'm getting mud on me, guaranteed if I'm walking by the big pigs, they're like 300 pounds. They used to be former FFA pigs projects, and their students decided that they wanted them to live a happy life instead of find an inevitable end because of the project they were part of. And these boys will be in a mud puddle, and guaranteed the minute I'm near them and there's mud, they're gonna shake their heads and then I'm splattered, And of course I have to go and run to the grocery store right after or something like that. So I'm just walking around, splattered with mud. So a lot of the work is very basic. You're feeding, doing general care, watering, carrying hay bales, filling feed buckets, and those kinds of things. So it's definitely not glamorous work. Definitely not there's no glamour into it at all. But there's a lot of purpose, okay? And a lot of heart, and a lot of compassion, and a lot of empathy, and a lot of, those special moments where you stop and you notice, two animals connecting with each other and expressing love towards each other and having friendships and having little units where they play together. And those are all really special and beautiful moments. I think one of the reasons that we decided to call ourselves Cloven Heart is because not only are many farmed animals cloved, but because also as our human experience can be very cloven, can be very two-sided, very divided, very much dark and light, at odds with each other. And then always wanting the light and the good in the world to win and to shine. So, because what we do isn't always happy and joyous, because we do face some stories and some unkindness and some cruelty in this world that is very emotional and difficult sometimes to understand why a human being would choose to be so mean. And I think that although we may not be able to solve this problem in our lifetime, the animals in our care that we've been able to rescue have definitely benefited from what kindness and love can do in your life. And so, for example, the cloven part is the division that we have, the fight between good and evil, right? But the heart are the animals. We have a goat named Symphony who is no longer with us in this world. But when we rescued her, she was already an older goat. She had been spent, is how we were told this. Because it was one of our very first rescues, and we didn't know what to do. We didn't know. We're like, okay, we're ready to rescue. Where do you find animals to rescue? And we ended up at an auction. And here comes this fancy, large Nubian goat, but also very bony. Clearly starved, and bald, patchy fur, And we noticed that because we were trying to understand the process of how animals are sold, and where do you go to rescue, and how can you help, and so we were asking people who were sitting near us, why did this price start high, and now they're going lower, 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 you know? And they're like, because she's thin, nobody wants her, she's of no use. And I was like, wow, how unfortunate that someone can be displayed in that way, to be looked at. You're spent, you're of no use. You can provide nothing to benefit me, to make money, you know. And so, and these are all things that many of us have experienced in our life, where people have misunderstood us as human beings as not being worthy, or having being of no use. And I feel like that's a really horrible place to be or to feel as a human being. So, of course, how can a living animal let it go also be seen and used in this way? So, of course, we scooped her up, took her home, had no idea what we were doing, and she did not want to get up. Got her into her stall, managed to get her in her stall. She did not want to get up. I looked at her, and this is her, by the way. Her name is Symphony. And I looked at her, and I said, I promise you, if you trust me and you give me a chance, I will make you well. And I will love you like you've never been loved, and you will be happy, and you will be safe here. So please don't give up yet. Because it looked like she was. It looked like she was done. She looked like she did not need to go on anymore. And the next morning she was there, she was up, she was ready, and we made that promise to her, and I watched her go. And so what's really funny about her is I don't know what her experience was in terms of having access to the outdoors, but she seemed to be afraid of the outside. And I was like, the outside is fun, you know? The outside is green grass, the outside is sunshine, you know? And she was a Velcro goat. Yeah. So I would be in the barn cleaning up. She's like right next to me the whole time, you know. So I found a way to get her outside the barn door because it was really hard to clean. And she literally would just pace back and forth and scream at the top of her lungs, like, you know, like something was just terribly, terribly wrong. And I was like, why do you do that? Don't have fun. So it took her a long time because she was so loud. Just like everybody's going to think I'm over here killing an animal. But she just looked furious. Have you ever heard a Nubian goat scream at the top of the lungs? It's kind of terrifying. But she found a way through encouragement to learn to love outside, to learn to make goat friends, to learn to be happy, because she was certainly getting healthier from the work that we were doing with her. But her learning to be happy, to feel safe, to have courage to go out into the world, and to know that she had a home, to know that she had shelter, to know that she had food, and to watch her go from being scared to being happy was just an amazing experience. And she is what I call the heart of Cloven Heart, because she had gone from such a broken place to becoming this joyful, wonderful, happy girl. And I'm proud to have been part of her life. I'm proud to have known her. And I'm thankful to have had an opportunity to be of service to her. And because that's how I've chosen to be of service in this world, is to be of service to them. Because honestly, that's what I am. I'm like literally their handmaiden, you know? They're always like, hey, please, hello, you know, or you're late, you know. I'm like, hurry up, you know. So, so I'm constantly getting berated with complaints. Saying me, that I love them. And I'm so thankful that me reading St. Francis of Assisi as a child, his story, and thinking that that's the most beautiful thing in the world, I'm sure inspired me, and the light in my heart to do what I'm doing today. And I think the more that we can, good that we can do in this world, whether it's serving animals or serving humans, or serving ideas that help us to experience life with more kindness and happiness, and because none of this exists to not be looked at, to not be enjoyed. You know, whether it's a bush outside a window and to think how beautiful the yellow is and the green is of the leaves, to an animal like a pig or a cow. And I just think it's all too wonderful to not see and appreciate, and to want to have everyone in the world just enjoy life and be happy, whether they have 2 hooves, 4 hooves, feathers, feet, you know. So I'm grateful, and I'm really, again, honored to be able to share Cloven Heart Farm Sanctuary with you. And I'm going to say it's not an easy life, definitely, aside from it also not being glamorous. It's definitely not an easy life. And so if you're ever looking for ways that you can come out to the sanctuary, participate, volunteer, we're really happy to have you. And just thank you so much for letting us be your partners. And thank you for your kindness in your hearts.